Hello. Hi, I'm Louis Otero. This is Sarah Goldstein, and we are the directors of Part of Your World, the last documentary you guys just saw.
Great. Yep, round of applause.
My name is Paul Hairston. I'm the director of the film before that, the boxing one, Lions in the Corner.
Thank you.
My name is Sam Vinyl, and I'm the director of Low Lee, Water's Life, from Standing Rock to the Swamp.
That's how you pronounce it, sorry. We're killing at the beginning. Go ahead.
I'm Gabriella Kavanaugh. I'm the director of Sustained Outrage, the West Virginia newspaper.
Great.
I edited Sustained Outrage.
Perfect. So actually, we can keep the mic at the end there. So tell us a little bit about your process. What inspired you to, I know you were editing, but what inspired you to make this film for both of you?
Started.
Sure, I can start. This film began in development as a feature documentary back in fall of 2016, an uneventful time. We were looking for, as like the tensions between the media and Trump and the government were sort of at its high peak, we were looking for a story that would tell that through at a microcosm level. So we were looking for a local newspaper that would help us tell that story. So we were developing it as a feature for a long time, trying to get funding, and then...
Now, are you from there? Do you know people there? How did you end up there?
No, I'm not from there.
Okay.
We sort of got in touch with the newspaper and gained access through there.
Great.
But yeah, when the bankruptcy hit, it sort of took this very unexpected turn and became the focus of our film.
And how long was the process? How long did it take you guys to shoot this?
It was sort of on and off. I mean, I think total, how many shoot days do we have?
32.
32 shoot days, but it was sort of spread over the course of 3 years. And it was sort of, if we were to have made this film knowing what would happen, it would be very different. And we would sort of send small teams whenever we could to develop the story. And then luckily we got a grant, able to spend a little bit more time there. But it was sort of trying to piece together what we could of all the footage we have to tell the story.
Absolutely, that's great, thank you. So we'll pass on the mic here. So same question, how did you come upon this topic?
First of all, I just want to say thank you. This was like amazing programming, and I hope
Absolutely.
everyone really enjoyed these very like fluffy puff pieces that weren't hard at all. Really incredible programming. What brought me to this film was seeing footage of what this like inspiring social movement was doing, and fighting in the swamps of Louisiana, and coming off the back of like what was going on with the DAPL Standing Rock pipeline, and really a moment of kind of pan-indigenous resistance. And seeing kind of what you also saw in the film of Cherie Foytlin, like on the ground in the dirt with like her arm being like twisted behind her back, being like, "We need you here now." And so I
sorry to interrupt, I actually have a question with that. It seems like you're in slightly dangerous situations. Were you there filming that?
I wasn't there for that part personally.
Yeah.
But I would say like just to put the spotlight on like what they face, and kind of the way I approach this filmmaking is kind of to make films in deep partnership with social movements. Comedy Central actually did a special going down with them, and so Comedy Central was like filming with them in the swamps, and like this off-duty police officer was actually working with the corporation and literally swamped their boat. And so like the folks who I was filming with were in another boat, and purposely this boat swam up, like put a wake over, and like Cherie and other folks were like, the last thing we saw was like alligators in the water, and then we're in the water swimming ashore. Comedy Central is running that way in their boat. And so yeah, I just want to like put a pitch for like the strong work that they were doing and trying to do films from a different manner that are like deeply embedded and not extractive, and which I think like everyone up here and all the films we shot really embodied.
Yeah, absolutely. And same question, what was your time span on shooting this?
The time span was like 12 days or something. It was really like what I could fit into my schedule, and then post actually ended up lasting about 6 months and relying a lot on the direct action material that they had, because that was also what they really wanted to focus on. They're like, this is the moment of like what's going on down here. This is what's kind of being whitewashed from bigger NGOs, and so post to go out, production didn't take as long. We all wish we had more time.
Of course, of course. All right, thank you. All right, you have the boxing.
Yes.
Now, are you a boxer yourself?
No, probably the antithesis of that. So yeah.
So what interested you about the topic? Or how did you actually come upon it? Because it's very interesting.
Oh, thank you. So I actually am from the same town that's filmed in, and the New York Times did an article on it in 2016, and I was like, what the heck, how am I not the first person to get this?
Know about this.
Yeah, the guy in there actually used to like go to the same gym as me, this Scarface guy, and I was like, all right, that's great. But so I went down there and talked to him, and I was like, do you want to do a documentary? And he said yes, and then it took a couple of years, but we finally got it made.
I mean, it's a fascinating, his story is a very fascinating story. Now, quick question, was there women there, or was it just a mostly men fighting?
There were actually quite a few female fights there. We didn't get the best coverage of them, but they were actually the most brutal ones. They were actually the most intense ones, yeah. Like the most blood and everything, but there were two there, and some of the notes I got back were, this is extremely hard to watch.
Oh, believe it. I mean, was a lot of that hard to watch, because were you there for most of the fights? You were there for...
We were really lucky that day. There were around 45 fights that day, and actually we had to delay shooting because, something as simple as a rainstorm would just cancel the whole event. So, we were like scheduled 3 weeks before that shoot date and then 3 weeks before that shoot date, and so finally we were like, the sun is out, all right, they're fighting, let's go. And so I went down there.
Quick.
Yeah.
Now there's 45 fights in a day?
Yeah, now. They've grown a lot in popularity. He actually runs a YouTube channel now as well, and it kind of doubles as, it's actually, I would say it's more for sport now than it is conflict resolution, but they still, I would probably say 40% of what they do is conflict resolution.
Did you actually get a sense that there was a conflict resolution? I mean, it seemed, you kind of tie it up in the end, so it seemed like there was a positive feeling from these guys fighting, but did you actually see that when you were filming?
Yes, the opening fight particularly, those guys definitely resolved their beef, but the end sequence is mainly supposed to embellish the fact that like you're seeing these guys just like beat the heck out of each other, and the last thing you're going to expect is them to like hug and laugh at the end of it, and it really does just kind of boil it down to.
And they do at the end.
About most of them. Some of them walk away, but yeah, most of them. But yeah, no. Overall, most of the beefs were solved.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Tell us a little bit about your film.
So the inspiration for it sort of came from the fact that I grew up in that community, the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community in Brooklyn, in Borough Park. And it was, we looked at it from a perspective of pop culture and exposure to the outside world, but there's a lot to that community. It has very strict rules, guidelines that you must follow to be part of it. For women it's especially strict because there was modesty and things like that. And I left that community also when I was 18 and sort of just was like, okay, goodbye forever, don't want to think about this again.
So this is very personal for you.
Yeah, it was very personal. And then I met Louis. We're in a relationship. We've been together for 5 years. And he was just the complete opposite of me in every way. He, grew up just, loving movies, knows everything about movies, whereas I know absolutely nothing. And, the clash of that two sort of inspired, just us to look deeper into, what that experience specifically is like, leaving that ultra-Orthodox community and then having to, encounter a world that you just really don't know anything about. And I don't know if Louis wants to add anything.
You more or less said it. It was a really weird adjustment period. It wasn't just movies and things like that, little things, public figures that...
Full culture shock.
Yeah, exactly. And, I grew up my whole life as I grew up under capitalism, so everything is commercials and SpongeBob and shit, and she never saw SpongeBob, and that was the first thing where I was like, oh my god, what?
Is that fun for the two of you? That's gotta be...
It can be.
Yeah.
It's also hard, but
Okay.
It can be fun to kind of discover something together, and kind of this was a thing that was important to me, and it's someone else's cartoon, and then she'll be like, this was she would tell me about her time at these really intense Hebrew schools, and the cultural touchstones that they had there, and we find ourselves kind of marveling at the distance between those things.
That's great. So you feel like you really needed to kind of tell the story and almost inform people of what goes on in that community.
Yeah,
For
I
both of
think
you.
other documentaries, there are a few more that have covered this topic, and we knew this was going to be a short film, and we didn't want to take on the whole spectrum of what it is to leave that community to become OTD, so we just figured that this little, slice of our experience would be fitting for this length.
Great, really amazing. Does anyone in the audience have questions for any of the filmmakers? Quiet crowd here. You all are so moved. It's hard to find questions here. Well, then I will just quickly ask, where can we find your films? What's next for all of you? So we can kind of hand it down here.
Yeah.
Where's this film going?
We've been to a few other festivals. We were just in the New York Short Film Festival and the Shorties. There's a bunch more, so hopefully you'll hear more. If you want to know more, just look up Robot Dog Productions on Facebook, like us there, and we'll provide updates.
Great.
We actually had an online premiere, so I'm happy if I get into any festivals these days. But but yeah, no, submitting to festivals and just seeing where else the film goes. You can find it on Vimeo, same title, Lions in the Corner.
Great.
It's on the film festival circuit, and we're talking with PBS, and I'm really excited that the organizers are going to do an East Coast screening tour, kind of meeting with different community organizations. So mutualaidmedia.com/waterslife.
Perfect.
Our film is going to be on PBS's Real South in May, so it'll be streaming through public media and also online for 90 days with that as well.
Perfect. So now I know where to find it. Any last minute questions here? Anyone think of anything in that time span? All right, we have one. Go ahead, you have to shout it here.
I had a question for the Sustained Outrage group. As a native West Virginian, I understand the prominence of newspaper in the community, and I was just wondering if you could elaborate on just how important local newspaper is to getting the stories out there, as often families will only read newspaper as their main source of information.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. In West Virginia, newspapers are the primary source of way people get news. A lot of people don't have subscriptions to the New York Times. They really just invest in their local newspaper, and which is one of the big reasons we also want to distribute the film through public media. It's the same thing. So it's really, really important in West Virginia. It's a huge contrast to the multiple ways that we get news in other places.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions before we kind of wrap this up? All right. Thank you guys so much for answering those, and thank you so much for your films. This was a great program, and thank you guys for being here. All right. Have a good night.